Hello, today I'm going to show you what may be the worst violin that money can buy. I bought this violin for about $70 Australian. This violin is very similar to one that Olaf the ViolinMaker did a review on. I believe mine might be a little bit worse than his though. So I'll show you what makes it so bad. But hey, it's what you get what you paid for. So to begin with, I'll show you the case because that's the best part of the whole thing. This case is actually pretty nice case. It's got some back straps on it. It's pretty well made. Nice interior. Can't really say too much bad about the case. The bow, I mean, it's nothing fantastic, but the bow seems good enough. I'm not actually an expert on violins at all, so I can't really vouch for it so much. But the violin, even somebody who's not an expert can tell you there's something wrong with this violin. So around the sides, this part, which I believe is called the ribs, I might be wrong there, and the blocks, which is the top and the bottom, is actually made of plastic. When I got this violin, the neck would not stay on it because it's trying to glue a piece of wood to a piece of plastic, and the glue that they use just wouldn't do the job. I tried using several glues to get it on. I ended up having to resort to araldite, which is not the kind of glue that you should be using on a violin at any point, but it was the only way that I could get this damn neck to stay on. Now you can see where the paint is chipped away a little bit around the join between the neck and the body. That white there is the white of the plastic around here. And if I show you the opposite end, you can actually see, whoops, if I get the light just right, those are molding lines from the plastic. So yes, definitely plastic around the edges. But I mean that. I was going to say that doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad, but I think it actually does mean that it's bad. So the next issue I have is the neck of the violin. You'll notice that the neck is quite a bit off straight, not quite straight. Now this really ought to be straight, so that's not ideal. You'll also notice that the nut at the end is allowing the strings to dig in quite deeply, particularly the E string. Again, not ideal. I shouldn't think. The bridge, when the violin first came, the bridge had a very unusual shape to it. This should have a fairly consistent curve to it. This had a convex curve on one side and a concave curve on the other side, making it impossible to hit one of the strings. So I've reshaped that. I've perhaps taken a little more off than I should. I've ordered a replacement so I can fix it up properly, as well as this can go. In fact, I spoke to the music shop. I said, "How much will a new bridge for a violin cost?" They said, "Well, it depends. They start at about $6. Do you want one that's a little bit more expensive?" I said, "Well, no. For this violin, I think a $6 bridge would be very appropriate." So anyway, as it is at the moment, it does play. I have only been playing the violin for about a week, a little bit under a week, I think, since I managed to glue this on. So I'm not a very good violin player. All I know about violins is that the strings go G, D, A, E, and from that I've tried to figure out the fingering. But just to give you a bit of an idea of what it sounds like, and I've actually not tuned this for a little while, so it might be a little bit out of tune, but it'll probably be more in tune than I am. So just to give you a little bit of an example, no, I screwed up the first take, so I'm going to have to give this another try. When you hear this one, you'll wonder how bad the first one was. So anyway, it sounds like a violin. It sounds like a bad violin played badly. But just so that you don't think that all cheap Chinese instruments are rubbish, I've got another one to show you. Just give me a moment. I'll get my... What I have here is a pocket trumpet. This is from a company called Ammoon. It cost me about $150, but I believe you can get them even cheaper than that. Now, Trent Hamilton did a review on this a little while ago, and he gave it a fairly scathing review. I'm actually quite fond of it. I think it's quite a nice little trumpet. It's of course not as good as a good trumpet, but it's a neat little thing. I'll try and toot out a little tune for you. So, should you buy yourself a cheap Chinese instrument? Am I glad that I bought these cheap Chinese instruments? Well, the trumpet I'm very pleased with. The violin, a bit disappointed in, but then again, I should have bought a more expensive violin, but I probably wouldn't have if more expensive violins were all that was available. This cheap violin has gotten me into playing it, and I will no doubt buy a more expensive one at some point. But yeah, so this cheap violin, as bad as it is, has gotten me into playing the violin, so it's not so bad after all. But thank you, and if you've made it through to the end here, I apologize for all the terrible music you had to listen to. Thank you very much.